Alright guys, welcome back to Parent Paints Minis. I tried to go live earlier and tried to finish up this demon mini. That didn't work well. I'm still getting the hang of this new GoPro 13. I think that I don't know. I don't like the way it was when it was live. So I am going to just record this video and then I'm going to upload it when I finish. So for now, we're just gonna get into this. I'm gonna try to finish him up. I've got a little bit more of this Tesseract green to layer on there. I'm gonna go back over all of the previous ones with just a little bit of it, just to hopefully get it to pop. You can see here I was messing around with some of the Army Painter glow effects and things like that, like this lens flare glow. I tried it out on this guy right here. I was messing around with different colors on his hammer. You can see the 3 different kinds I did there. And then on this side, they're actually layered up. And I don't hate the way it looks in the light when it's layered, but in the just normal room light, like not directly under a light, it doesn't look good. Like I don't like the way it looks. So like on a normal table just to play with, I don't think it would look good. Plus the area that I have to put those in is so small on this mini that I don't think I could layer them effectively and still keep the crispness of the lines and stuff. So I'm not gonna use that as on this mini. So I'm just gonna go back in. I'm gonna do a little more of this Tesseract glow here, and we're gonna just I don't like where that's sitting. I have a feeling I'm gonna knock that over at some point. We'll move that over there. I'm just gonna go in, and I've gone over all these a few times. I don't think it's gonna look any better, but I'm just gonna keep layering it up and hope that it kind of pops at some point. I don't know. I'm just going to do one more quick layer through all of these little cracks and just hopefully get enough of it in there that it becomes the focal point against this purple, because right now it just feels like it kind of blends and I don't like that. So I really wish there was a way to keep this from drying. It looks so good when it's wet, and that's so disappointing. There we go. I'm gonna look into like copyright-free music and things like that I can have playing in the background while I'm painting, things like that, because I do know that I tend to sit here in silence sometimes, and I don't want you guys just bored listening to nothing. So eventually I will add music to these videos and things like that, just to keep it more interesting. Oh, that's a weird angle. I don't like that one at all. I think I've struggled with this one specific crack a lot, just because it's right under his arm. And so in order to get the angle to actually paint it, I can't actually see the crack itself because his arm's in the way. And so it's very frustrating. And I know these angles aren't great for you guys to watch me paint. I don't know what to do about that. I mean, painting is one of those things that's like, you gotta be really close to it, and trying to hold it that close to the camera while I'm painting you know, that gets it up out of my own range of vision. So I have to be down here like this, which doesn't leave much for you guys to actually see, which I don't know how to do anything about that. So that looks a lot better on that wing. I am gonna paint these little nubs, this Tesseract glow as well, and I'm gonna go on really thick with it. I did notice that the first layer that I put on this one, once it dried, it really faded, and the purple was really all you could see there. So I want to go thick with it on this layer so that once it dries, it still looks mostly green. There we go. And I'm going to do that to all of them. And we're going to see. I think that'll look good. Actually just going to paint the fronts first, then the backs, because flipping him around a lot is kind of annoying. I do like having the video available to watch while I'm painting, while I'm recording, which I didn't have when I was live. The preview was a little delayed and it didn't work out well. So this way I can just... that got a little out of control. I can just see what I'm doing. And it's just live. I mean, it's just, I can see it in real time and there's no delay. So I can look over at my phone, see exactly what you guys are seeing and make adjustments. So if I'm talking about a specific area, I can look and see if you guys can even see that. I can hold it closer and make sure I'm centered, you know, things like that. So I think that this is the overall better way to go about it. It means I'm gonna have to learn to edit and things like that, but I don't mind that. We'll just have a better video in the long run, I think. Okay, let's flip them over and do the other side of those little nubs. I think he's coming along pretty well, actually. I didn't like him earlier today. Like I was talking about how I didn't think he'd be one of my favorites that I've ever done. And I still don't think he's going to be one of my favorites. But I think when he's all done, I think I'm going to be actually a lot more pleased with how he turned out than I actually think I currently am. So we'll see. There was just too many new things during this project, I think, and that's the problem. Oops, crap. Is just too many new things, and that's not ever really a good time, I don't think. Oh, I mean, I guess some people probably like trying new things, but I like the tried and true. I like to do things that I've done before, that I know I'm good at, that I know work. And so I think for me, I would have rather stuck with methods that I knew worked instead of trying a bunch of new things. And I've learned my lesson. So I learned a lot from this guy. I learned that you can't really do speed paints through an airbrush even though they're thin enough. They don't pool the way they should, and the air dries it before it gets a chance to really do its thing. And so I won't be doing that again. I learned that these effect paints like this Tesseract Glow look good at first, but then they dry weird and don't still retain their effect as well. Even if you layer them multiple times, you're still going to end up with kind of a weird look to them. So I don't know. We'll just keep on keeping on. I'll rinse my brush really quick, and I'm going to let him, I'm going to need to repaint that tip of that wing. It got caught on my hand as I was setting him down. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe it didn't wipe off as much as I thought. We should be okay. I am going to get this extremely tiny tipped brush. Where did I put that one? Was it this one right here? There it is. Let me see if I can get that close enough for you to see how tiny that tip is. Look at that. And we're going to just try to do his eyes while we're here. I mean, this is just, we're going to just get the world's smallest amount of paint on the tip of this guy. And then we're just going to see if we, I missed I missed two of the nubs. I didn't even see them there on the sides. Oh man, this brush is tiny and it's great, but man, it does not hold paint. Not thin paint like this anyway. There we go, maybe that'll work. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but I got his eye done. It's glowing green. It's looking good. On the other side, you can see it's not done yet. So we'll try to get the other eye, and hopefully that'll look as good. Usually, my experience with eyes is that I do one that looks good and one that does not look good, and it usually has to do with the way I hold the minis because I'm right-handed. And so sometimes I have a hard time getting into all the angles on certain sides. So there's not enough paint there. Let's try that again with a little more paint. I feel like it still needs more. Jeez. I think this eye is cut a little deeper than the other one, which makes it really hard to get it to glow. Alright, let's see what we think of that one. So you can see he's got glowing green eyes on both sides, glowing wings. I've got to do the tips right here and here that I missed. You can see as like the tips start to dry a little bit, they aren't quite as vibrant. And then I need to do the legs and the tip of his tail in that same green. I do kind of want to go back over some of these ones on his back as well. They're not as bright as I would like. So I'm going to work on that for now. And then the last thing I'm going to do is try to find a light purple that would work as a good highlight color for the skin to try to make some of the wings and stuff like that pop. I was going to go blue or like a grayish blue on the spines of his wings, but now I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know. I might still do that. So that could be something I end up doing in this video as well. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. Like this line right here specifically just does not feel like it's popping at all. So we're gonna go back over that one and really try to get a good amount of this paint in there. It's a really shallow crack, which is part of the problem. So I couldn't get a lot of paint in there to begin with. And now as I'm putting this next layer in, it's flooding out, which is actually okay because I plan to go back over this with a very, very, very light dry brushing of this same color to try to give it the illusion that that light from this energy is, you know, reflecting on to the skin or whatever. So I mean, there's overflowing a little bit doesn't really matter, because I mean, if it's glowing, if it's really like fell energy, like magic energy, it's giving off a little bit of light, so it's gonna, you know, not just the fire is gonna be bright, like it's gonna show up on the skin around it as well. So I don't mind if it flows out of the crack just a little bit. That makes it feel like it's glowing a little bit more rather than just being in the cracks. So yeah. Alright, got a little bit more to do down in this little area right here. And then we'll do this side as well. And we'll let the green dry a little bit before we go back over the nubs. And while that's doing that, I'm going to work on his tail and his legs. The one thing about this is that I'm probably going to need to start announcing to people before I start filming a video, because right now my mom is trying to call me and I had to decline her video call because she doesn't realize I'm doing a video. When I was live, at least she could tell. So I'm going to have to be proactive about letting people know, hey, I'm not going to be available from, you know, whatever time to whatever time. Although I don't ever really know how long I'm going to want to paint, and so I don't really know how long these videos are going to run. Sometimes I like to paint for hours. Like sometimes I'm really into it and it's really fun and relaxing, and then other times I just, you know, get bored, want to go do something else, stop the stream early. So, you know, I don't really know. Alright, one more little crack here to fill on the back of his wings. Oh my god, that's terrible. I should have cleaned this brush before I did this last one. I was noticing that it was starting to get a little thicker because the bristles are dry, and so they're not coming to a point. I really love this paint puck cup. Those little bristles down at the bottom of it, I don't think you can see it on the video, but they're super helpful in getting your brush really nice and clean. So I'm going to go through and just try to scrape it a little. Oh, I made it worse. Alright, I'm leaving it alone. Forget it. Sometimes that's what happens. You try to make it better and you make it worse. So that's what the back of his wings look like right now. It's really giving the effect I want under the light. Like, I don't know what to do about that, really, because it looks so good directly under the light. But outside of the light, it doesn't really. And then obviously those are still pretty wet, so they still have that glow effect. But the ones underneath here, like, let's let that dry for, oh geez. Stand him up and hang that. The ones underneath, I mean, they still look really good under the light, but I mean, without the light, they don't really look as good. This side looks like it could use a, well, no, it's just the way his arm is, I think. Those nubs are really looking good, actually, even after they dry. You can see, like, this one's got, like, a spot where it's really thin. So it looks kind of a little bit dark there. But yeah, let me get my, I wonder how, I don't know if I really want to I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna mess this up. Like, it feels like one of those things that if it doesn't really work, it's just not really gonna work. And it's gonna really mess it up. Maybe I'll start with maybe trying it on the tail, see how that looks, because I planned to fully go through and actually paint the tail with a direct brush. So I'm gonna just try dry brushing this. This is a really thin paint, so I don't know how it's gonna dry brush to begin with. I mean, as you can see from this, like, I barely put any on and it's still like, there we go. So, like, well, I can't really dry, I don't know, like, yeah, it doesn't really work as a dry brush, and it blends and it just looks looks brown. Okay, so we're not doing that. That's just not gonna work. It's not the way that this is gonna work out. So I'm gonna just paint it like normal and just layer it like I would any other paint, and just hopefully not lose too much of the depth of that, because that's the concern there, is I want the purple to still be in. So we're gonna get our line brush here, and we're just going to, let's start with the tail here. I really want to make that glow. There we go. So if we get in there like this. Okay, so that's, you know, that tufted tail, and that's gonna dry obviously, and a lot more of that black and the purple from the previous colors are gonna come through. So I think that'll look good, and I think I can do the same thing on like the fur of his legs, just kind of pulling across it, you know, just to give it some of that green. I think that that's the way to go with this, but in order to do that well, I need to make sure that I've really got very little paint on the brush. Otherwise, it's going to be too thick and it's going to go into the crevices, and that is not what I want. Alright guys, take a look at that. Hold on, let me get it centered. See, this is why I like not being live and not having that delay. It's really hard to see, I think, kind of on this, just to really get an idea of how it looks. It's a little blurry, it's hard to tell, but there we go. Like, you can sort of see the way that looks a little raised, whereas the depths of the purple are still purple, and it looks really good in person. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be like a whole set of camera tools that I can get to really work for something like this that's so small, so fine in detail that, you know, I can share what I'm trying to do without it getting blurry when I get too close and things like that. But maybe not. Maybe it's just one of those things where mini painting will never really look that good in person, or I mean in camera, and it's just better in person. Takes a really light touch, which is not actually one of my strong suits. I've always kind of likened myself in, to a bull in a china shop. No finesse, no delicacy at all, just raw power. And so this is actually quite difficult for me, but I am really liking the way that this is turning out, actually. Yeah, I like the way that looks. It's not as bright as I would like because I can't do a lot of it. I think several layers of doing the same thing would be very effective. I don't know that I have that kind of patience, but, you know, once it dries, I might go back over it again with another set and see kind of how that looks. So for now, we're just going to do the same thing on the other leg. It might have been a bit much to start with, actually. And we're just going to drag that across the top very lightly, trying to ride from high to high. We want to skip over all the lows, so by just dragging the side of your brush, you're not digging into any of the depths. You're not letting your tip kind of drop in there, and it's just sliding across it, and that really keeps the paint on just the ridges. And so it gives you that deep purple in the depths and the green on the, where it looks like flames are like coming up, licking his legs and things like that. This leg doesn't have as much detail as the other one does. That's going to make for a bit of a problem here. Like, there's just not as much of that scroll work look on this leg, and that's just a printing thing. Yeah, that's not gonna look as good, but that's okay. We'll just get it as good as we can, get a little bit of this on there, and just let it do its thing. And that's one of the things about minis like this is they're so small that sometimes you can really lose the detail. And then once you start adding layers of things like primer and base coat and stuff like that, the details really do get lost in all the thickness of that paint. So I know you think it's not a lot because it's just paint, right? But one layer after another, it does really pile up, and you'll start to see a little bit of your detail kind of fade away. And so that's why it's important to try to thin your paints as much as you can. And then other than that, just keep to as few layers as you possibly can of paint. You want your primer, and then you want your base coat, and then you want to go over your details, but you want to do it as few times as possible, which is part of the problem I'm having with this effect paint, is that it loses its effect if it's too thin. And so I keep going back over it again and again and again to make it glow, to make it feel like there's enough of it to catch the light and things like that. But then I start to muddy my details. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to decide when enough is enough. They say that every model goes through like a phase where it just looks crappy. Like no matter what you do, it looks bad. And you're never going to really be happy with it. And everybody wants to just throw it away, claim it's a messed up model and that they screwed up the painting and give up. But if you push through that, you get to a place where it looks great. And then everybody's like, oh, this is great. I can do so much more, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And then you just keep going, and you get back to a place of it looking just terrible. The colors are all muddied, your detail's gone, and so you got to know when to push through and when to call a model, because sometimes you can do too much. And so I'm trying not to do that with this guy. I really don't want this to be one of those ones where I did too much. Alright, all I really got left is like this arm. I'm thinking about doing just the tips of his beard here with some of this Felfire, and then the tips of his horns. But I kind of was thinking maybe go all of the horns, but I don't know. Maybe just 3/4 of the horns, kind of fade it back as I go. Like I might want it to be brighter on the tips and then come down to this darker purple. I'm not sure. I don't want to leave the horns this purple, but I don't know what color I would do them otherwise. So I might just do the green just because I don't want them to be just purple. Yeah, that's looking good. Let me wash my brush really quick, and then we'll get in there and let you guys take a look at him, see what you think. Like I said, I'm still going to do a little bit of green on the beard, at least at the tips. But so this is what we got. The green looks good. It's popping for sure. Even on the legs where it got a little thinned, and then on the arms as it goes around. Like I said, I think adding some to the middle here where the beard is going to be important. There's a lot of just bland purple in the middle that I don't really know that I can do much with. I think I'll add some, like I said, I want to add some high purples to that, just to really kind of try to bring that. Let's see if I can find my high purples. I think that was the base I did. Yeah, that's the speed paint. So, I don't know. We'll find something though. There's got to be something that'll look like what I'm trying to go for the highs. You know, I was thinking even like maybe like something like this purple, like alchemy. Like it's a little pinker than I was thinking though. So I'll go look. I've got a ton of colors that aren't here at the table with me, but I got quite a few that I think would work well. So let me just get in here really quick with this green, just a little bit more for his beard. And I think for the edge of the horns, I think I'm just going to definitely go with that. Like I think it'll look good. So we're going to do that.